out next year. I love finding how do we make our uh, conversations better. And I love that you said that there's somebody tomorrow that's going to talk about the myth of the perfect session. Because I don't know what that is. There's no, destination in mastery. It's we just keep improving. We just do it better. And since there's no formula to coaching because it's a spontaneous interaction between two people, so it comes out of the conversation, what you're supposed to say, not from your memory or some list or some model. So every conversation is different. It's organic, which, that's what makes it powerful. But a coaching conversation can be amazing. So maybe not perfect, but definitely amazing. So I think it's because of how you start the conversation. What is it that we do in the first 10, 15 minutes that makes the difference in the end result? So that's what I'm so happy to share with you today, because it's my favorite because it certainly wasn't what I was taught. It was something I've discovered over the years and through my research of looking at what makes the difference in our brain to have creative insights and to change perspective. So every year I find better ways to do this because there's no perfect way of doing it, and how critical that is to our success. But I want to say first that because I know that you're all on this path in a different place. And there's I'm going to come back to this, but two major transformations that we make when we become a coach. And so to find where you are on your path of mastery is, wherever you are is great. So even if you've just started coaching, as long as you're holding a safe space for people to feel they can say anything, and you reflect a little bit and ask a question or two, it's amazing what will happen in their brains and how much they'll recognize because of the safe space that you provided. So even when you start coaching, you're providing something of value. And then we just get better. So don't ever think, oh, well, I can't really coach yet because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have certification. Yeah, you do. I had to start from the very beginning, you know, where we were just figuring out what coaching was before we even defined the competencies. But it is important to have your competencies because most of us come from uh, lifestyles, if not professions, where we tell people what to do, advise them, manage them, um, uh, direct them, heal them, that we're the dominant one that's taking care of them. And so to make the shift into a coaching mindset where I know nothing and I'm just here to listen to you and help you to listen to yourself and to hear your story and to pull your story apart, that it takes using the competencies almost as a crutch, that to shift the mindset from telling to not knowing. At first we have to hold on to the skills. It's like when you learn to play an instrument, you learn the fundamentals, you learn to play scales on the piano, but then if you stay with it, you have to learn to forget it so you can improvise and just come up with something amazing without it being formulaic. So we first really have to know the skills, but then here's where coaches plateau, is then the skill beyond that, as you're moving toward PCC and beyond, is to forget about it when you're coaching, to quit thinking when you're coaching, to trust yourself that if I'm just creating a safe place for this person and helping them figure out what is it they really want that they don't have now and what's getting in the way. If I'm really just focused on that, but I'm getting it from them what they really want and what's getting in the way through my reflection and my questions. That's the big shift, and that's the harder transformation. But that's within, when we look at this competency three, that's what I'm going to explain how this shift is done. And in it even shows up in the markers, definitely of MCC, the bars, and within the markers of the PCC. So, but when you look at the PCC, the markers mean the behavioral indicators that you did this. What I find is interesting is it uses the word partner as a verb. So it's not my partner as a noun, but it's partner as a verb. I partner with the client to explore the topic, not just to ask, what do you want out of this session, and go with it, but I explore with them. I've got to really listen to their story and help them figure out what they want. What do they believe then is getting in the way of what they want? What does it look like if, if they meet this, which is their measure of success, is what it looks like. And then I keep them on track toward this thing they said they wanted to create. That's how I manage the time and the focus. And I continue in that direction unless they clearly have said there's something else. And then I ask them, is there something else? So, I would love if you would write in the chat. So the word partner as a verb. So what other words? You have up to 3 words. What do you think partner as a verb means? Okay, since they never really define that. So I'm going to, okay, so I can't even see the chat. Okay, there it is. All right. So collaborate, co-create. Thank you. Co-create, team up. Okay, be with them, be present to where they are so I can co-create and play. I love that. Co-create, collaborate, walk together. I am walking with you by your side, not leading you. Thank you. Come alongside, parallel, equal. This is the critical piece that defines coaching, from all those other things, and why we have to then have faith in the coaching process and not worry if we're providing value, and not jump in to lead them or tell them where they should go, and because then we show we're not believing in them. So this is the critical piece. This is the behavioral indicator. This is what I'm looking for when I'm assessing. Did you partner with them in this process? Not just ask them the question and went with it, but truly partnered with them to discover it. So then when you go to MCC, it's even more partnering to clarify, reconfirm what they want in a flexible, gentle, natural manner. The other day, I did a demo, and the person, oftentimes they say, and I said, I called it flow. And she says, I would say that felt like a breezy conversation. I love that. That it was breezy. That it's just a natural flow that we have. And I can't tell you how many times I've had when I've done primarily a live demo for a conference where somebody raises their hand and says, would that pass as MCC? you know and and I always say, so what competency do you think I did not do? And most of the time they don't know, or they'll say, well, you didn't ask the question, what do you want out of this session? Hutch is laughing. I would never ask that question, especially at the beginning, because they don't know. They're only going to reiterate the problem. They're not going to tell you what they want. I want to just say, so what's on your mind? And listen to the story. Within the story, they're going to tell me what they're struggling with, which is the flip side is what they really want. So I partner with them to unpack, to reveal what they want, and then what it looks like, and then who are they in that picture. So this is how we're told to evaluate this competency, that there's clarity and depth in creating the agreement. You don't have to move forward quickly. Coach slow up front, and the rest of the session will be fast. You partner with them. The measure of success is the vision. And never just jump to, so how are you going to do that? It's always, so what's getting in the way? I always say, think, what's getting in the way of this smart person from getting what they want? So those are the two big questions. What is it they really want, and what's getting in the way? And that's primarily what you're coaching on. So, you can forget all those other lists of things, because if you remember this and you stay with this and trust the coaching process, they're going to have little breakthroughs all through the session, not just at the very end. So, the agreement goes beyond the opening question. So I take this even further. So when I say going beyond the competency doesn't say that they have to have a clear picture of the future. Um, but if you look at the research, especially Richard Boyatzis' work, that looking at the shift in the person's brain, when you can help them identify clearly what is it you want that you don't have, even if you think you can't get it. Let's just get that picture. Let's just get that picture. That picture is something that they truly want, and then they see that, it creates the positive chemistry in their brain. So if you're only looking at the problem that they're trying to identify, then it focuses on the negative. But when we focus on what they really want and what's getting in the way of you achieving this thing you want, it keeps them more in a positive mode. So we're looking for the desirable outcome. Now they can't always define it, so you don't want to push them. It may come up in the coaching, but at least if they can identify a little bit of, I just, well, I want it to be better, but I'm not sure what it looks like yet. Like this woman saying, I know I want a different job. I need to talk it through before I can define it. But you can still say, okay, in this new job that you are going to define, can you define at least who you are in this new situation you want to create? Which is amazing, because then if you can get them to look at themselves, their self-definition, that's even more powerful. If the coaching then shifts to, so what's it going to take to become this person? Not just what's getting in the way, but what's it going to take to become this person? What is it we need to work through for you to evolve to be the person, your best self? Um, so we spend a lot of time figuring out, what is it they really want, either for their situation, either or and for their situation and themselves, or at least for themselves. So I always say, don't start by asking them what they want. You did that when you first learned coaching. That was fine. That was the indication that you are going to focus on this. But we have to go beyond that, because again, they don't know. And if they tell you, I have to make a decision, a decision is not an outcome. So what are you hoping to get from your decision? Or if they say, oh, I have to make a plan. Um, all right, so what's making this plan important? What are you hoping the plan will give you? And then I'm always looking at what's stopping smart person from making the decision. And oftentimes it's not even a decision. They already know what they want. They're just afraid to do it, and so that comes out in the coaching. Or they're smart enough to do the plan on their own. What stopped them from doing the plan until now? You know, like I was coaching this woman, and very, very accomplished professional vice president of HR of one of our largest chains in the United States, and she was a very successful corporate lawyer before that, and then they headhunted her to come to this company. And she gets on the call and she says, I need you to teach me how to prioritize because I'm overwhelmed and I don't know what to do. And I said, okay, that's interesting. So I just want to get this straight. You're the vice president of HR of one of the largest retail chains. Prior to that, you were extremely successful corporate attorney. Prior to that, you graduated from one of our, most prestigious law schools in the country. I have to think somewhere along the line, you knew how to prioritize. So I want to know what's stopping you now. She paused, and then she said, okay, I get it. She says, I've lost my way. I'm not sure why I'm doing this. It's not about prioritizing. I'm just not, sure that I'm in the right place anymore. I said, okay, so what's the indicator for you of being in the right place? Again, always using their words, and she said, well, it's always purpose, that I have a purpose. I don't not think I have my purpose. I said, okay, so you said you don't think, well, she said, I don't think I have it anymore. You said anymore. Did you have it at one point? She says, absolutely. It's why I took this job, because my husband and I wanted to start a restaurant and I wanted to learn the retail business. And she says, and you know what? I'm going to stop this call right now because I need to go talk to him before I can really get coaching on this. So we rescheduled, and she came back and she says, okay, my husband and I re put life back into our purpose. I know why I'm here, and you're right. I don't need to have you tell me how to prioritize, but I have some other things to work on. you know? So oftentimes they're just stuck. They're just stuck. And so I always start with what's the challenge you're facing right now? What's the question you want to explore? That's my opening. What's been on your mind you'd like to talk about? How would you like to use our time, which is the topic, not the outcome? However you feel comfortable, you just generically open the conversation. Okay, not with what do you want out of our time together. You just generically open it so they can start telling you their story. Then you listen to what I love what Dan McAdams said, the core planks of the story. Stories are a construction of reality. That's all they are. We all live out our stories based on past experiences. So I'm listening for their key words, their points of pain, or maybe what they want. Like if they use the word collaborate. Okay, what does collaborate in this situation? What does that mean to you? If they said they're overwhelmed, okay, so tell me what overwhelm is. Is it too much work or you just don't like the work? And I do use distinctions to get them to think. And you'll hear like the things that they thought they were going to get, but they didn't. And that's created disappointment, the unmet needs, the shoulds. Whenever they say should, well, but it's a good job. I should stay here. Who's saying should? Who's saying should? To get them to see, is it should that's stopping them from moving forward? Or if they say, I want this, but whatever comes after the but is their fear. So I'm listening for the what's holding the story together. I'm not listening necessarily into the details of the story. I want to know what's constructed the story. And I use reflection. I offer it back. So I hear you saying that you're just really struggling with getting the team to buy in to this. So tell me a little bit about what buy-in is for you. What is it you really want to see happening that would indicate buy-in? Okay, I wouldn't just accept buy-in because I can't see buy-in, so I don't know her definition of buy-in. Does it compare with my definition? There's no agreement until we agree to what the picture looks like. So I use a lot of just ask him, what do you mean by that? Okay, how does that relate to what you want to solve here? So a lot of curiosity up front to help them see their stories out here because they can't do this on their own. They cannot, mentally cannot pull their stories apart. Trying to figure out our problems on our own, there's always our own selective perception and bias that gets in the way. So if I can help them take their story out here and they see it, then they start to see those fears that are, that they're just making up, and, the stuff they say about the future. Well, if I do this, this will happen, that they're just making it up because they have no idea. The shoulds, or I should not, shouldn'ts that are holding them back. That's what I want them to hear. And when they define their story, Who are you in that? So I'm listening for keywords, and what word I pick up may be different than what word you pick up. The other day I did a demo, and I picked up on this one word that was similar to something else she said. And one of the observers said, "Why didn't you ask about that?" And I said, "Well, to me they were similar, but you could ask about that." There's no perfect coaching. Just be curious about what's defining their story. So don't dig into all the details in their backstory. The backstory is not important. It's the key elements of the story of how they see the situation today and what's most important to them. So you're going to hear when I do the demo, there's a lot of, I start my sentences with, okay, so I hear you saying this, and then I'll ask, is that right? And so I often use a closed question just to confirm. And when I'm clarifying what they want, closed questions are fine. So if you were taught never to use a closed question, that's wrong, because the competencies and the indicators, since I know, since I was in the room when we were approving them, the very first ones, is it was always there's more open questions than closed. So closed questions to clarify, did I get it right? Is this what's most important to you? Is fine. And then once we clarify the outcome, then the exploration is more open. So I'll mix closed and open up front, and then it's more. But if something else is showing up and we have to re-clarify the outcome, then I still then will go back to making sure I understand and see the same thing as them. And your biggest enemy is assuming you know what they mean without clarifying the meaning and getting agreement to it, because you don't know. And if the worst thing you can do is to say, "Oh yeah, I've been there too," and think you've been in the same situation as them, because you have not, because they've grown up in a different world than you, however they were raised. And I don't care if they live next door. Their living experiences are different than yours. So don't ever assume that you think, that you know exactly what they've been through. You haven't, and that will stop you from being curious. And then you'll have this urge to jump in to tell your story, which is not a good thing. So, and don't be afraid to reflect any emotional shift, like when they pause and look away. And then they come back and say, "Could we stop for a second? Could you share that moment? You got quiet and you looked away like you were thinking about something. Would you be willing to share what came to mind?" You know, ask them. And it's okay to interrupt if they come back. Just say, "Oh, wait, could we stop for a moment? I just want to, know if there was something that you want to share that's important that just came up." Or if they go off on another topic, "Could we stop for a second? I just want to make sure that we're tracking toward what you said you wanted, or maybe there's something else." So it's okay to interrupt with a coaching purpose. If they go off somewhere else, if they're repeating themselves, if they sighed and did this and then went into some other direction, it's okay to say, "Could we stop for a second? Ask permission. Give the coaching purpose. I just want to track where we're going." Or, you got really quiet and looked down like you were thinking about something. Would you share with me? So you give the coaching purpose and then you ask the question. Don't be afraid of intense emotions. If they have a new insight, they could cry, they could be embarrassed, they could get angry. That means, yay, you did good coaching. Okay? That just means they saw something new. Their brain saw something new that maybe they didn't like, or it embarrassed them, or sometimes they're very sad when they realize what they've been doing for years. So uh, all emotions are good emotions. There's no bad emotions. Do not be afraid of them. Just stay calm, stay silent, let them process the emotion, and then come back to coaching. You don't have to sit with their emotions inside of you. That's sympathy, that's not empathy. Empathy is just understanding, and then we detach so we can stay present with them and continue coaching and honor them as a human who has emotions. I was teaching a class this morning to a number of coaches in Eastern Europe, and this one woman said, "I, I, and my therapist says it's okay that I don't feel any emotions." I'm like, "Oh, really?" I said, well, for therapists, they're not supposed to show emotions, but as coaches, we need to match and be with our clients' emotions, like, first off, to be calm, to give them space. But if they laugh at an insight, we can laugh with them. If they get excited, it's okay to be excited with them. If they get sad, we tone down the energy, so no, you're not supposed to be a robot. Then you can be replaced by AI. So we're not going there, you know? And I don't do it intentionally. Kachika will tell you that. I've worked really hard in my 30 years of not thinking when I coach. I pick up what you say and I offer it back, and I could be right or wrong. It doesn't matter. It'll help you think. It'll help you think. So don't be afraid. You're not there to help them feel better. Remember that. Coaching isn't rah, rah, yay for you. You know, coaching is I'm helping them see better so they can see beyond where they're stuck, see beyond um, what they're doing right now. That's not the best thing for them without telling them that, but they can then see it. That's what we're supposed to do as a partner, a thinking partner. I am a thinking partner. That's what partnering with them is walking alongside them and helping them hear themselves think. That's your job, and that's what great coaching is. We make coaching way too hard. So, and it's so important we do all of this for competency three to help them discover what they really want. And anytime they have an insight, they must articulate the insight. So insights aren't just at the end of coaching, they happen all along, where they go, wow, okay, or duh, and ask them, what are you seeing? Would you share it with me? Would you share it with me? They must articulate any awareness for them, the brain to hear it, to remember it, and then to use it. So this is why we can't practice what we're going to say to somebody or in a speech just in our head, and then we get up there, we get into the room, and we forget because you said it just in your head. You must speak it out loud for the brain to hear it, to embed it. So I practice my speeches out in the desert. I give my speeches to the coyotes, you know, and that way I remember. And they're not a great audience, but they're not going to bite me. I think I scare them. So, um, the whole thing is that we clarify the perception of how they see their problem. We question the meaning of the words or phrases they repeat or stress, and the emotions, hesitations, and pauses. What does that mean to them? I noticed, you started to say something and then you backed off and started to say something else. Could you share, what just happened when you shifted your thoughts? Get them to stop and talk about what just happened. Oftentimes, again, they just talk. They don't know what they're saying. you know, um, it'll often be in the last sentence of a paragraph. So don't like think, oh, okay, I'm going to remember to ask them this, and then you don't hear the rest of the paragraph, So there's a demo on my YouTube channel that I often use in training, and she was talked a lot, and she always gave it away in the last sentence. Like she was talking about why she's scared to approach these people, to interview them. And at the very end of the sentence, it was a throwaway comment. She said, I feel intimidated. And I said, oh, so tell me about intimidation, you know? And then she went into, well, they're experts. I'm just learning, but I've prepared my interview. I have my questions. I'm confident about that. And, but they're these big people, and it's just little me. And she said it at the end of the paragraph. I'm like, oh, little you. So that's how you see yourself, that it's little you and they're big them. Tell me about that. And then she started laughing because she doesn't hear herself. She said, oh my God, I said that, didn't I? She caught it right when I said it back to her, both the intimidation and little me. And then I had the chance to say, so how is it that you want to show up, even if it's a difficult conversation, And she said, oh, I would just stay calm, and ask my questions, and if they said they have somewhere to go, that's okay. I'd go with it. And I said, okay, so instead of little me, who are you in that picture? And she said, oh, and she surprised me. She didn't say, oh, I'm a competent interviewer. She said, I'm just me. I'm just me. Most of the time, I'm just me, and it's okay. I said, so is that what you want to work on in our time together? And that's the agreement statement. Is that what you want to work on in our time together? That you can go into these interviews knowing you're prepared and just be yourself no matter what, And she said, yeah. I said, so say it back to me. So we have an agreement of what you're working on. But it took 11 minutes to finally get to that that it wasn't what she wanted to say, but who she was going to be in that moment. And then, okay, so what's going to stop you? But the rest of the coaching tends to be fairly easy. And so we talked about, what things could go wrong, and what she realized nothing could really go wrong because these people said yes. And, she said, if they say no, I can handle that. It was the yes. They already said yes, so they said it was okay. So she was making it all up, which they tend to. So, so close questions when I want to confirm, deny, or refine a reflection. When I want to test out if I'm seeing the same thing as them. Or I use distinctions. I was trained that way. Is it this or is it this? In the overwhelm, is it way too much work or is it work you don't like doing? When you say that you're not confident, is it that you're not confident in how people see you, or you're not confident in your knowledge or skills? Sometimes it helps them just think it through. So I'm not leading them, I'm giving them some things to consider so they can define it. I do this when it feels like they're stuck. So it's okay, but don't get lost in their story. So even if they talk a lot and they go on, track with them. If they repeat themselves or they go somewhere else, then you, as Robert Biswas Denier says in his provocative conversations, I think the book is, use strategic interruption. Could we stop for a moment? I just want to make sure I'm tracking with you. And then when you summarize, don't parrot. Don't parrot it back. Summarize the key points. Okay, you don't have to give them everything they said. And don't use generic questions, please. I get it when you're first starting that you will, and that's okay. But with practice, there's no reason that you should be using a formula, a model, or it's just a breezy conversation. So once you get to what the problem really is, and they're struggling defining what it would look like, then say, if you could make the changes you desire, what would be different? What does what you hope to decide, have, or change look like? So don't go into, well, I can't really see it. See if you can just flip it. So what might it look like if this problem wasn't in the way, or what these people are doing if they were to do something different? And then ask them, who are you in this picture? That's when you ask them. So once you both see the desired future, the picture is the measure of success. Is this what you want to work on? So, is this what if we were to create this, if you would find a way to actually at least start moving toward this, is that what would help you to feel that you're making progress? That's a measure of success. Then you focus on what needs to be resolved. So the agreement is critical. What do they really want that's not happening now? And then what's getting in the way? That's all you have to remember. That's what you're doing. And then, always call out an insight. Could you repeat that? What does that mean to you? And before you ask them what steps to take, what did you learn in this session? And then what are you willing to do now? Even if it's just, I need to think about it. What does thinking about it look like? you know, so they at least commit to doing that. So don't miss it when they say, this is what I really want or don't want. If they say should, ask them, who's saying should? Is it family? Is it friends? Or is it in your own brain? When they get quiet and look away, something's on their mind, or they get sad or angry, they saw something. Reflect what you noticed and ask about it, and ask about it. And hold them tight to that agenda unless they clearly indicate from an insight that there's something else more important. But then ask them, is this what you want to work on now? That it's not just finding a way to solve the problem, but working on how you're reacting to the problem. Whatever it is, you just offer them to change it. And that's one of your behavioral indicators as well. And again, invite them to share what they now see if they have an insight, and to see if there's something more important to create. So notice if you think you're getting off track, if you're going in circles, and don't wait too long to clarify. You should have this clarified within. I said that one took 11 minutes. That was long. So you don't run out of time. So Katja has agreed to do a demo. So I would like for you to look at, how do I use my presence in this conversation? Notice how I use reflective statements and closed questions as well as open questions to clarify the outcome. And if something surprised you or challenged you or confused you, you can ask about that. Because I'm going to do some things that may be different than what you were taught. I guarantee it. you know, but again, I'm not, I don't believe I'm going out of the bounds of the competencies. Um, but I may be different than how a lot of people teach it. So we're going to then,
Would you like me to highlight
yeah, you
in
mean Katja. Yeah, please.
YouTube? Okay.
And then anything I said too, if you have questions, just hold on to that. We should have time for questions.
All right. You're ready.
Okay, so I'm not seeing that. Okay, so you said you highlighted us?
I pinned YouTube, so that's the only
Okay,
thing we see on the screen.
that's what you
I
see.
think
That's not
we
what.
should all go off camera.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, please do
We
that. Thank you.
all go off
Yeah,
camera.
I don't
thank
think
you.
they're pinned though. I don't see the pin.
Yeah, I know. So, if everybody, that's great. So Carmen, if you go off camera,
Yeah.
then we just say yes. Thank you.
For this. Okay. Are we set?
Okay,
Are we good?
we're good.
Okay.
Okay, so Katja, I know you said what you want to talk about, but of course, in a week, so much has happened. Could you share a little bit about what's on your mind now?
It's changed quite a bit. I've been a little bit anxious and in terms of it's related to what I said. So what I wrote to you saying that I wanted to work in this demo was how I show up when especially with professionals, with colleagues, in terms of what I share about myself.
Okay.
I feel a bit uncomfortable sometimes of sharing, and I'm gonna call it my scars, no, like things that have happened in my life. And so I get a little bit, if I don't share, I get like I get uncomfortable if I don't, especially when I don't.
Okay.
And probably if it's just a transactional relationship, it's just very punctual. But when I'm gonna start or working with a colleague, it's so how much I want to share, how much intimate I want to share about my life. So that's quite uncomfortable. And
Could I?
yes,
So, but you said things have happened. Is this still the main issue?
yeah, I think what has been going around in my head is the uncomfortable sensation.
Okay.
So there's something uncomfortable, and also like a discussion in my head, saying, okay, do I keep it to myself? Do I share it? Do I put myself there and really work with something that can be really important for me? So yeah, I'm there sitting uncomfortable
Okay.
in terms of what I share.
All right. So you mentioned that you're questioning to what level, to what extent do I share? But at one moment you said that you want them to know about your past, but you're questioning if that's okay. So is that, how does that relate to this word, I'm not comfortable?
What makes me uncomfortable is the decision. The decision of saying, do I want to share the most, a very important part of my life, or not, and just let it pass?
Okay, so what makes this sense of, I want them to know this about me?
What I've noticed is that if I show up fully, if I show up like, and I think of this kintsugi, like the scars that make something beautiful and make who I am. Probably like it brings a different type of relationship
Okay.
than just having a superficial relationship. But
All
my
right.
doubt is where I want to.
Okay. No, but I want to clarify, because you said at one just recently, you said in like casual conversation, is this personal relationships? At the beginning you said in your professional relationships, and then you said in personal relationships. So is it all relationships that you want people to know
No.
this? Okay, so tell me which relationships we're talking
Okay.
about.
With personal, I'm comfortable. I know
Okay.
how to measure. No.
Okay.
With clients, I have a lot of clarity there.
Okay.
It's when I'm working with other colleagues,
All right.
and it's just deciding, do I just want to have just professional and focused on the task and not really
Personal.
personal. Yes, but in that context.
Okay. So what you're saying that what's you're uncomfortable with is in professional relationships when you're working with someone, a
Yes.
colleague,
Yes.
that you're questioning, do I keep this totally professional? But then they don't fully know me, but is it important for me to share my scars? So is that it in
Yes.
essence?
Yeah.
Okay. So if that's it, ugh, I'm sorry, I had software stuff show up. You're not protected. Whatever. So if that's it, that's what we're defining. So when you look at your professional relationships with colleagues, tell me what identifies a good relationship, that one that makes you comfortable instead of not comfortable.
Hmm. when it's not clear, no, and there's gonna be certain I would say like professional interactions that are completely professionals oriented in tasks, and
That's not a problem.
not a problem.
Okay, so we're refining this. That's good.
Okay.
So when is it a problem? You know, what's the relationship that you think I need them to know a little bit more about me?
I'll give you an example.
Okay.
When they ask me,
Okay.
how many kids do you have?
Mm-hmm.
And I go, I have 3,
Mm-hmm.
and one's in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it.
All right.
So that's where I get in a situation. Do I want to share this?
Mm.
I still have 3 kids. Do I tell them the whole story, or I just that's because in my mind, in my heart, everywhere I have 3 kids.
Okay.
It's
But
just
you just said to me, I have 3 kids and one's in heaven.
yeah.
Okay. What is making you feel uncomfortable about, do I need to say more at that point?
Usually,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a shift. It's
Okay, so there's discomfort on their part.
yeah, and on mine as well.
Okay. Tell me about yours.
Okay. If I have clarity that I trust this person,
Okay.
and maybe it's not difficult.
Okay.
The uncomfortable is when I know, oh, the question is coming. The question is coming. No,
They're going to ask what happened.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh no, when they're gonna ask how many kids you have.
Okay, so the question, the discomfort is even before that.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, so you're walking into all these relationships that have to go beyond professional with that trepidation that at some point this person's going to ask me how many kids. So you're
Yeah.
bringing this anxiety into the relationship from the beginning.
In the initial relationship, in the beginning.
If it's going to go beyond just professionally, once you know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me, since you're creating this, they haven't even asked you yet. Tell me what it is that, this anxiety that you bring in, what is it? Do you want to learn how to just deal with it because it's still raw for you, or to not have it come up until it comes up in conversation? What is it you want instead?
I would like not to have that anxiety or that discomfort in terms of that moment.
Which moment?
The moment where I'm thinking they're gonna ask the question, they're starting to ask everybody. It's that.
Okay. So it's not, you said, once it goes into that we're gonna work together more than just professional, that you bring it. But now you're saying you're not uncomfortable until you sense that it's about to come up.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so is that the moment when you sense the question is coming?
Maybe a little bit before, when
Okay.
I say I'm gonna decide if I'm gonna share or not. And then
So
sometimes
there's anticipation that it's coming. Okay, you know they're going to ask it. So that's the moment in the anticipation that it's
Mhm.
coming. So what do you want to do with that? That moment that you sense, okay, this is going to come up. What am I going to do?
What comes to me is, who am I? Who am I? How I
Okay.
want to show up. No,
All right. Oh,
so
you had said that at the very beginning.
yeah.
So what about sharing that you have a child that's in heaven now? What about how is that a conflict for you and how you show up?
Conflict with me, maybe it is when I see the other person's reaction.
Okay.
That's when it gets me in or they say, oh, I'm sorry, or
Mhm.
that moment.
Okay. So is that the difficult moment?
Yeah, it's not me saying I have
Okay.
a son in
Because you
heaven.
said it just fine
Yeah,
just now.
and
It's when you feel you've made them uncomfortable, that,
yes,
oh, I'm so sorry,
yeah, yeah.
and how we don't deal well with that. So if that's the moment, the key moment that you're uncomfortable when they don't know what to do with it and they feel bad for asking or whatever, is that the moment that you'd like to continue to show up?
Yes.
Okay, so continue to show up how? Say it to me. How do you want to continue to show up in that moment?
It's just that I wouldn't like to people to feel pity for me in
Okay.
terms of
Mm-hmm.
uh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I can't control what they feel.
Okay. Very good. That was interesting. You thought about that. You thought
Yeah,
about that.
yeah.
What does that just say to you? I can't control how they feel. What did you just learn in that moment?
Uh when I say I have a son in heaven,
Mm-hmm.
that's me.
That's you.
And
Okay.
and
So
and
they react the way they react because of their own stuff
yeah.
around that.
Mhm.
So how do you want, when you said I want to show up, I want to stay just me, what does that look like? Or how does that feel?
Like it's the authentic me.
It's the
It's
authentic you.
yeah.
You just stay authentically you. Doesn't matter if whatever they're going through, you just stay you.
Mm.
So if is that it? Is that what you want to work on, or do you believe you can do that right now?
Mm. Uh, if I'm able to say that,
Say
I'm
say
I'm
what?
say I have a
Oh,
son
okay.
in heaven. I have
Uh-huh.
one, my daughter in Barcelona, the other in
Yeah,
Scotland.
and one
Uh,
in heaven. Okay. Three
uh,
locations.
yeah,
Okay.
I feel that's me,
Okay.
and I'm being true to myself,
All right.
and
So what's stopping you from doing that now, of just staying there and letting them feel awkward and they get through it? What's stopping you from doing that? Just staying you.
probably I felt like conditioned with the reaction I've had when it's gonna be 4 years soon that
I
someone
know.
passed away.
Hmm.
And
4 years. 4 years that you've had to deal with that, but you're moving into 4 years now.
mm,
So it sounds as if it's time to be able to handle their people's reactions instead of being uncomfortable.
mm,
Are you ready to do that?
yeah. And
So what's going to take for you to stay in just being you?
think that I can't control what they think, what they do, what
Okay.
they
You
that's
remind yourself, right? What
mm,
might you say?
yeah, just smile and that's it. I
Okay.
probably not say anything or anything that makes me feel uncomfortable.
What might that be?
Because if I go, okay, okay, like ignore it or move fast,
Mhm.
I feel uncomfortable. No, if
Okay.
so I think if I just stay calm, collected, and
Mhm.
I think
Okay.
that could help
And
me.
just smile and
Yeah.
say, and simply say what?
I have 2 kids.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I have
One
three
is
kids.
in heaven, and
Okay. Can I add something to it?
yes, please.
Thank you for your concern.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So it feels to me that the big the shift from the beginning from discomfort to comfort, that I can just be me, that's where we went on this journey. So tell me what you experienced in this time we had together.
I'm worrying about things I can't control.
Okay. So that's a big awareness that this all came up because you were thinking you had to control it.
Mm.
Okay. Great. So if you were to say that as you go into working with these people and remind yourself of that, so so and you sense that this is going to come up, tell me exactly how you're going to handle it in the moment of that, this knowing this is going to come up. What will you now do?
Stay with what it is, no, and
Hmm.
just answer the question, and that's it.
Okay, that's it. You don't have to share more.
Mm.
Okay, so as you said that, are you comfortable with being in that space?
Now I think I do.
You think you do?
Yes.
Okay. So is there anything else that you need to maintain that comfort level?
No, I think I'm okay.
You think you're good?
Thank you.
Okay. So again, I want to acknowledge that, you know, I know, I mean, you and I have known each other a long time. Boy, 4 years. More than that. That moving through this process, how much you have grown in this, and that this is another evidence of your desire to grow, and to stay here, stay present, and be your best self for other people as well as yourself. So it's been my pleasure to watch your growth. Yeah.
Good.
Are we good?
Yes.
All right. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I know that you're going to get, when we get back with everyone, how many people are going to say thank you. And they may say some things that, it's like, whoa, here we go. But maybe you've given all of us a lesson in how to deal with that. So thank you for that. So
And I think I'll stay grounded. No, I think I'm gonna
there,
be true to myself. I think that's
very
gonna be
good.
helpful. Yeah.
That's the big thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Stay grounded and true for yourself. Beautiful.
Thank you,
Beautiful.
Marcia.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to bring everyone back. And yes, I did give her a suggestion.
You want to say like this? Should I leave you guys pinned?
No,
Or
no, no, no.
back
Bring
to
us
the
back to
room?
the group. I want to
Okay.
hear the questions and the insights and
All right.
all of that. And the you told her what to do thing. you know, and I can explain how I knew that in the moment. So, okay. So what do you have? We have plenty of time. I wanted to make sure we had enough time for you to share your insights, what you learned, to ask me questions. So, how do you pronounce your name? Is it Suli?
I don't know how to.
Okay, great. Thank you, Suli.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hmm.
I I don't know. I thought it was great. I think the whole process. I do have a question.
Hmm.
If it was my client, I would say, what since you cannot control the others,
Hmm.
what can you do
Hmm.
or change what you say
Hmm.
so that there's no follow-up question or to diminish the reaction? So being
Okay.
proactive in
Hmm.
maybe how to present the information.
Okay. Um, so Lee, I think that's fine. Again, there's no right way to do this. Most of what I was doing with her, which I hope you all see, is how I drilled down to what it is she really wants. When we got there, there's be a number of ways you can go. I think that your first part of your question, Suli, is great. I would not ask the second part, so the person doesn't ask any other questions.
No, that's in parentheses. That was
Okay.
just a conversation, not to my client. I would
Okay.
never say that. I was just saying, no, I'm
Okay,
saying
great.
the energy
Right.
that
So
we
how
put
can we
out.
shut down people?
No, it wasn't the,
Yeah, thank
that
you. And I
was
don't need you to ask me any more questions.
right. But that
I
was
don't want to talk
very,
about it. No, yeah. No, I get it. I get it. It was kind of like, I asked her in a number of different ways about what will she do in that moment? And she kept coming back to, I'm just going to stay grounded. I'm still going to stay grounded. It's like, but what might you say? So I did go to that. And when she said, I would just smile, that's when it's like, okay, so we've gotten there. So smile and what? So I'm not going so it's like, you know, thanks for your concern. And since we were moving to the end and I asked her for permission, I wouldn't have said that earlier, but we were moving toward the end and I wanted to give you guys enough time to ask questions. So that's why I offered that. Could I have gotten there without offering it? Probably. Is there something else you might say? But she was pretty, like, I'm just going to be grounded and say it, and who cares what they how they react, which is like, okay, that's great. Then I'm not in control. They can react however they want. That's how she chose. That's what she chose, and so we went with that, and that was great. And again, full disclosure with y'all, if you don't know, Katya and I have worked together before. I've known her for what, now 5 years. So I knew exactly what she was talking about. If I did not know her, might I have asked her a little bit more just to clarify? I might have. But I was actually her coach when her son went to heaven. So, So there was a knowledge that I had going into this that I didn't really need. But I'm not so sure I would have needed to ask much more. She clearly defined what was making her uncomfortable, what she says, and where she was willing to go with it. That she really doesn't want to get into the weeds of what happened. She really doesn't want to do that. So, so how will you handle it? So I'm not sure I'd need to know anymore. But I just in case you were wondering, I wanted to share that full disclosure. Okay. Abraham?
Yeah, thanks for the demo. It seemed like you guys know each other indeed, because there was this permission trust that was flowing both ways. At the beginning, there seemed to be, I don't know how to phrase it, so bear with me. Walking a very delicate line between interrupting and digging deeper. So almost
Yeah.
like any 1 inch more, she would close down,
Yeah.
but you managed to keep that. It could be from the trust that you have established together earlier, but that managed to open up. Also, it managed to
Yeah.
create that sense of movement. So
Thank you.
my question to you, so that's the
Okay.
observation.
No,
The
no,
question
please
is,
ask your question. And that
the
because there's
question
something
is
I want to
more,
share, but ask your question, please.
in that situation, how do you maintain that delicate balance of not, like, because it's like you did it so skillfully, but it was so narrow, like inch perfect.
Thank you. If you watch my demos, I think it's the same. I don't necessarily have to know the person. And I really didn't know how Katya was going to respond here. But as soon as I'm not sure what they're talking about, because she did bring this in very general terms. She did say at the beginning, personally and professionally. It's like I need to figure out exactly what is it that she's working on. Because then she said, well, if it's just my friend, blah, blah, blah. So is it friendship? So I really did want to figure out exactly where we were going. I did not know the exact scenario that she was talking about. I really didn't. I'm not sure she did at the very beginning either, because she had said, she said it very broadly. And this is why I said, if you ask them too soon, what do you want out of our time together? They're just going to give you a generalization, because that's how they see it right now. So of drilling into what it is. So I don't want to interrupt their story, but if they start to repeat themselves, as if I didn't understand, and then it's like, okay, I'll let this go, but I really don't want to go too far because we're now going down a rabbit hole and I really don't know where we're going. So I think that's what I'm listening for always. Like, what is it exactly that you want? What do you mean? You heard me ask her a few times, what do you mean by that? Which conversations, are you, do you want this with? You said this, is that the conversation? That I needed to really get clarity on what is it she wants to really change here, and it took a while for her to say, oh, it's just, if it's a professional thing where we're just working on a task, no big deal. It's just the ones where we may be working together and this question's going to come up. She didn't define that right away. And so I needed to really get to that. So that's why I said you spend time figuring it out. The rest of it is fairly easy. Coach slow, and it'll be easier toward the end. So, yeah, I don't know. Thank you for noticing that delicate thing. I think it's just, again, I'm not thinking, so I'm not thinking, okay, wait for it, and then ask. I'm not thinking. I'm sensing. I'm trying to sense when it's okay. And sometimes I'm wrong, and they'll just keep telling their story. So it wasn't a problem. I didn't disrupt the trust. I really work at establishing trust with them, but I think generally listening and asking questions about what they said so they get that you hear them is what established the trust. What do you mean by that? So tell me more. You know, it's the genuine curiosity and then using reflection so they get that you hear them. That's what establishes trust and safety. And I really work on being fully open, you know, with my heart, my gut, my head. I take in what they say. There's nothing wrong with what they say. You saw I didn't react to when she said what she said. I've never heard her say that I have 3 kids and one's in heaven. That was the first time I've heard Katja say that, you know, but okay. So that's what we're working with. You know, as a coach, I would never, remember, I'm not here to make her feel better. I'm here to make her see better. So I would never say, oh, okay, yeah, that's tough, Katja. I would never do that. So it's not your place to do that. So, okay. So good. Good question. So what else? What else did you notice or you question? And, you know, please, again, you can challenge me. That's okay. No perfection. And what you would ask might be totally different than what I'd ask. And that's okay too. If it came from her, if it came from her and you heard it differently, that's fine. That's good. That's good. So,
So
yeah.
if I'm,
And
can-
okay, so I'm going to go with Maura first because, yeah, I get some of you don't know how to do the digital thing. I get messed
sorry.
up. No,
Sorry.
I get messed up too, Maura, so that's okay. So ask, yeah.
Well, it's just really an observation to your last point. You know, I think empathy is a key sort of tenet in terms of energy, certainly that I bring. And I do incorporate that in my coaching. It's key to sort of who I am. And I just thought it was so notable the way that you maintained your presence and absolutely critical in this particular situation.
Yeah.
And I wonder, you know, the last thing you said is you're not here to make her feel better, was to make her see better. Is that always the answer, or in some other situations? I mean, in this case, it would have been right on the nose, but there are other situations where you maybe lead with empathy?
Okay. My definition of empathy may be different than yours. Okay, what I've learned in my research, you know, is empathy is not an emotion. Empathy is a cognitive function. Okay, sympathy is an emotion. Okay, that feeling that I have. Empathy is just I receive what your experience is. Okay, I understand it, and never go to, oh yeah, I've been there too, because I haven't. I haven't, but I don't care if I had something similar. I experience it and then I release the energy so I can stay present with you. So empathy just means, if you look up the definition in the dictionary, it says understanding. It's an understanding of what the person is going through. So I hear enough to understand it, not feel, you know, so I will feel it, you know, because I bring it in. I feel her discomfort and still sadness and all of that. But I don't take on her emotions. I have to breathe and release them so I can stay calm and present. And so, no, I'm always that. So I can still remain the coach, objective coach, you know, and not go into my own story. Yeah.
Well, that's masterclass right there. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. But, you know, that was all again from my research and understanding what this was. It wasn't what I was taught. I was taught don't get caught up in their story, you know, which is a hard thing often to do. So, yeah. Yeah, good. Now, I don't do a lot of personal coaching. Most of my coaching is leadership coaching, but that doesn't mean they don't come with stuff as well, because they do. But even that, whatever they're going through, you know, just hold the space. Hold the space. Wherever you're going through is okay. It's okay. You're just a human going through a human experience. And I'm going to be here for you to allow you to do that with no judgment about your experience. Just going to hold it. It's all okay. I'm here for you. And that's what I want them to always to feel. I'm here for you. I'm here for you. You know, and that's what we move to in coaching. Yeah. Thanks. And so, do you pronounce your name the same as I do, Marcia or Marcia?
In Brazil, where I'm from, is Marcia.
Marcia.
Yeah,
Okay. That's
but
why
many
I
people call me.
accept people. Yeah. Now my name comes from Russian, Masha.
Mhm.
You know, so I let people call me
Yes,
whatever, but
me
you
too.
know,
And people call me Matthias, or they call me Marcia, or they call me.
exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
So when you were mentioning about the trust in this case, right,
Okay.
that you already established that, and
Mhm.
even during this session, but and now you brought the leadership thing, right? So the more the typical client you have. Many times we have clients telling us a story that is a facade, something they really want to believe, right?
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily because we sense that, let me, and we are reading the body language and
Yeah.
so in this case, right? So
Mhm.
suppose you is your first session, you
Mhm.
are listening to this facade story or something. How you ask permission to share? Say, I'm sensing this, and ask the question,
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
you just take the risk and say, you are telling me this story, but I'm hearing something else.
No, don't do that.
I think
Don't
my
judge.
question is more about
Okay.
what
So
is okay, what risks to
it's
take,
okay. Okay. So here's the thing. Let me tell
permission
you
or not.
this. I need you to hear this. Everybody's making it up. You know, we're all constructing reality. There is no such thing. You know, it's like I'm whatever I look out my window, my window's in front of me, and I see tree and mountain only because in my past experiences I know what tree and mountain is. You know, so I'm defining my reality based on past. It's all past. I'm not seeing anything present because then I wouldn't know what it was. You know, so my brain is a meaning making machine. It's going to make meaning out of this, and it's going to make it in a protective way. So if there's danger, you know, a threat to myself, who I think I am in this, or my future, I'm going to really make up my story. So what you're
Mhm,
hearing is the person is protecting. They're not
mhm,
just trying to fool you. You know,
mhm,
this is their reality at the moment. That's just reality. So don't judge their reality. You
mhm,
know,
mhm.
you know, for you, just your response, I think you should is just, that's interesting. You know,
Yeah, no,
or as Ben
but I
Zander taught us was, well, that's fascinating. Is
what
just
you
to,
said about our role is not to make they feel good, but uh,
I know,
reflect
but
what they are thinking, right? So
so
when
you ask them
how we do.
questions. You
Mhm,
know,
mhm,
okay, so I hear what you're saying that everybody is against you. So you know, so tell me what
mhm.
has occurred that make you believe that?
Okay.
Okay, so pick out their beliefs and assumptions first. So, okay, so you said you know your boss can't stand you. What has he done that makes you feel he can't stand you? Define can't stand. Is it that he just feels annoyed by you or he doesn't even want to look at you? Tell me what it looks like. You know, then tell me what you think is possible in this scenario to change. So even if it's a bunch of baloney, you know, you still want them to talk about how they see this, you know, what they think is the worst that could happen. What is it they want instead? Is there anything they could possibly do within their control that could change the dynamics of this situation? So I want you to assume everybody's making it up. Everybody's bringing you a story. We we think in stories. You know, I pull out a story to define whatever I'm facing. Okay? And so you're doing as a coach is you're helping them look at their story. And as they look at their story, they maybe see beyond the story. So we're coaching stories. That's what we do, you know, and help them to see their story, to see maybe how the belief isn't serving them. If you go back to what I did with Katya, I pulled her story apart till we found out what it was she really wanted to work on. That's what you're doing, pulling the story apart, okay? To figure out what is it that they really want that's within their control to do. Okay? So watch your judgment.
No, we were talking about
I
active
know,
listening
but
earlier
see,
today.
it's
Yeah.
only because you have more experiences,
Uh-huh.
you know?
Yeah.
So the more life experiences you have and education, experience and education, the more you can understand what they're going through, but the more you can also see the holes in their story.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know, so but we cannot say, oh, there's big holes in your story. I will at times say, wow, you said you wanted this, but now you're saying that this is impossible. It's kind of a contradiction. I will
Yeah.
say that. I'll pull out contradictions. So what do you think? Which is it really? You know, so I listen for that. Beliefs, assumptions, contradictions, buts, shoulds, the key planks of their narrative, of their story, so they can hear their story. That's coaching. That's coaching. Great. Thank you for that. That was a beautiful question.
Thank you.
Yeah, great. One more question. Do you have to, Claudia, do you have to share with them anything?
Yes.
Okay, so
I
let
have
me
shared.
let me just bring up my last slide. I just want to share
That's right.
if I can, there it is. I have too many things on my desk. Oops. There's that book. You know, it's the first one out of all my books. I have 5 published books. That's the first one in Spanish. But I just want to say we're so lucky to be coaches, to see, to witness this evolving, you know, really greatness in people. It's such a great thing. And you are so lucky to have this fabulous community. That's why I keep coming back to South Florida, because this is a great community of support, that you support each other. It's why I'm still here. You know, I helped to start the ICF back. I'm the only president of the ICF from the 1900s that still shows up because I love my coaching community all around the world. So we're so lucky to have this wonderful community. So that's what I wanted to share with you all, you know, and to thank you for letting me come be with you. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Claudia. Claudia, you're on mute. Sorry.
Sorry about that. Yes, can you all see my screen? There is a QR code for you to scan it with your phone. I will share the link in the chat.
You know,
There's
there's
an image
something.
on top,
Yeah,
Claudia, on top of the QR.
there you
There,
go.
there.
Oh, right. Okay, thanks. So this is the QR code for you to scan it with your phone if you're able to, and share with us your feedback. I will also share the link in the chat if that's easier.
All right.
Tell us how we're doing. That's really important for us.
Yeah. I am always updating my stuff, but I am all over the place. If you haven't linked with me on LinkedIn, you know, you can see where else I show up to talk about other things if you want to hear some more of what I have to share.
Wonderful.
So I look forward to it. I think, aren't you having a live conference again in next year or something?
Yes, we will have
Yes,
next
I think I'm coming to that. So
year.
Yes.
I think I'm coming a few times, actually. You know, Kachi's got me coming to all kinds of stuff. So, so I hope to meet you all. Okay.
Yes,
You
we
too.
will.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Same here.
Thank
Thank
you
you very
very
much.
Thank you, Marcia.
Yeah,
Thank
you're
you,
welcome.
Marcia.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone. Thank you,
All
Kat.
right.
Thank you, Katya.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Yeah, thank you,
Obrigada.
Katya.
Bye.
See you soon. See you soon,
Adios.
my friend. All right. Bye-bye. I'm gonna go.
Thank you, Marcia.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Thank you.